Hello everyone, this is Dr. Victoria Scarbo speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. And so yesterday, the 13th of March, Beto O'Rourke announced his run for presidency. And so I thought I would do his numerology and Kabbalah chart. And he has a very, very interesting chart. And so why don't we just get started on this? Of course, I'm sure most of you know who he is because you've sought out this video. But he was he was in the House of Representatives for Texas. He's from El Paso. That's where he was born and raised. He worked on the city council there. Well, first of all, he had his own business. He was I think software, I think it was. And then he worked on the city council. And then I believe he worked in the state senate. Then he worked in the House of Representatives. And then he went against Ted Cruz for the midterms, 2018. He started his of course, he started his run in 2017, but he lost to Ted Cruz by a very narrow margin. Not something that people were expecting in a very what's considered a very red state of Texas. And his thing was he went all around, and met the people and just talked to them. And he went to, I think it was every county or something crazy like that. This guy worked really, really hard to get out to the people. And he did not take PAC money. So it is, he was sort of a maverick in that. Of course, that's the thing now. You don't take PAC money. He does have some corporate sponsorship, however. He is in Texas, and I think he's got some connections to the oil companies there, but I can't imagine you could be a politician in Texas and not have that be the case. So right now I'm trying to pull out his major cards, which I should have had prepared for you. But let's start with his information. So as we've said in previous readings, your name is the energy that you sort of come in on. And so the energy of your name, the numbers that we get from your name are numbers that you are already comfortable with. So this is kind of who you are on an inner level, who you are on an outer level, what are your talents and abilities, and so forth. So that is the energy of the name. So if we look at his full name is Robert Francis O'Rourke. Beto is a name. It's sort of it's a nickname, I guess, and it's not an unusual nickname to have when you are down living in El Paso. I don't believe he has any Hispanic. I don't believe he's Hispanic at all. I think he's Irish. I'm not sure what his mom is. Maybe his mom is not Irish, but with a name like Robert Francis O'Rourke, you got to guess that there's a lot of Irish in there. He's very charismatic. He's a handsome guy. He's young for running for president, but he's not terribly young. Terribly young. Like Buttigieg is young, and Tulsi Gabbard is young, and they're young for presidency. But he has a young demeanor. He is very, very sort of cool big brother, the big brother you always wanted to have, or your big brother's best friend that you had a crush on. That's kind of his energy. And he's married, and I believe he has 2 or 3 children. I think they're all daughters. So his name, Robert Francis O'Rourke, when we separate out the vowels from that, we get a 41/5 vibration. This is his soul vibration. Soul vibration is the inner feminine side of you. And this is the card associated with his soul vibration. This is the 41/5. Okay? That's the Ace of Cups. So this is a really nice card. People who have this as a soul vibration generally are pretty nice, compassionate, can be, loving. Now, that's a positive expression of this. There is always a negative expression. The thing is with the soul vibration, or the negative expression of this, which you might see more often in somebody who had this as their shadow and not their soul, is over emotionality. Okay, this guy does have a lot of emotion. When he talks, you can see it. It sort of imbibes him. Like there's this font, right, of excitement. The 5, the base number of the 41 over 5, is about movement and excitement. So this is a guy who's got a lot of energy and a large capacity to go around. This guy can campaign. That's the 5. That's the fact that this is located on the Tree of Life in Kether. Kether is the place on the Tree of Life, the root of all the elements. And there's one of the expressions of Kether, it's called the place of the whirlings. The whirlings being, great potential. So anytime you have a number in Kether in your chart, or if you're in a Kether period, it's a high energy time and a very high potential for success. He also has an 11 in his soul vibration, and that's because the name Robert actually holds both the 11 and the 22 vibration within it. If your name is Robert, you have an 11 vibration in your soul and you have a 22 vibration in your quiescent. The 11 is the master teacher. It's 11 is the bringer of light. 11 can be extremes. 11 can be there's, because it's extremes, it could be either light or it can be darkness. So it's not always light. But in this case, I believe we're looking at somebody who's in the light. And then the 22 in his outer personality or his quiescent vibration is the master builder. So if you have Robert in your name, you have both those things. So maybe everybody's going to name their kid Robert or have a middle name as Robert. But it is a very powerful name in that respect. Okay, so we have somebody who's inwardly very energetic, very emotional, deep emotions, that can, be compassionate. I mean, I guess he could get angry if in the right circumstance. Okay, so his outer personality or his masculine side is actually a 66 over 3. And it's interesting because he has an 11, a 22, and now a 66 vibration. Although some numerologists don't consider 66 a master number, it still sort of vibrates to a higher level because of the double number. And if he can't live up to the 66, then he actually expresses the 3. The 3 is very creative, but the 3 can get very scattered. So the 3 has to be aware of that and be careful of that. So the card associated with the 66 over 3, and I am looking for it right now. Can I find it? I should have had these ready. I say that every time, don't I? I should have had this ready. I should stop shitting on myself. It's not helpful. Maybe I pulled it out already. Sometimes, oh my God, I'm better than I thought. So good. This is the 66 over 3. This is Mbina in the Tree of Life, the side of the divine feminine. And so he has a real connection to the feminine. He's got a wife. I think he's got 2 or 3 daughters, whether he likes it or not. But he strikes me as somebody who is both attractive to the females and respects them, just from his demeanor and his energy. So this is somebody. This card is associated with both Taurus and Capricorn. In fact, the north node of his moon, which is the direction forward for him, his destiny, is actually in Capricorn. It's at 23 degrees of 24 degrees of Capricorn. What's interesting is that all the conjunctions that are happening in 2020 in Capricorn are happening right around that his north node. So that is going to be very potent for him. He could very well be the candidate. So, but let's see what else we're going to look at. If we look at his expression vibration is how he balances his inner and outer self. He has a 17 over 8 vibration. So this is how he balances that more sort of energetic, emotional inside and that pragmatic, practical outside. The 66/3 being earth is very pragmatic. This is a nice combination, earth and water. The only issue with earth and water is that they can get stuck. So he has to be careful about that. Now, this is his expression vibration. It's a 17/8 vibration. And this is somebody who needs to be inspired. Needs to be inspired and also needs to connect to source, needs to meditate, needs to find that time to be alone, to sort of connect with his higher vibrational self, as it were. In his chart, he has a supportive trine between Saturn and Uranus, and it is a trine of understanding. It's a trine of the teacher. So this guy does have an understanding of both structure and what needs to be changed within it. This is the 22 vibration that I talked about in his outer personality. This is the Fool card. So this is somebody who can like start a whole new something. All right. Now let's talk about his path of life, because your path of life is not something that you necessarily are good at. It's the path of life. It's the life lesson. As we get older, we get better at it. He has a 54/9. 54/9 is a vibration that's associated with Gemini. He has, I believe, his Saturn in Gemini. Wait a minute, I have his chart right here. 1 second. Yes, he has his Saturn in Gemini. Saturn is your work, really, your career. He has it in Gemini, and so to a certain extent, he has to be a communicator in this life. This is the card associated with the 54/9. It is the Page of Swords. He needs to be careful. I did a reading on him. I remember a card reading, and this came up in his domestic situation, and I think I warned against people were listening, and he had to be careful that somebody could be sort of do something dirty to him, right? And I didn't realize at the time, because I hadn't done his numbers, that this was his life lesson. So in part of his life lesson is to learn who to trust and who not to trust. His energy is mostly in the higher part of the tree, and when you have a lot of energy in the higher part of the tree, coming down to earth, coming down to the lower part of the tree, because his life lesson is down here in Malkuth, which is also the place of famous personalities. So this guy is right away, he sort of has that star power, right? But part of that lesson is when you have your life lesson there, is you have to learn how to function in sort of the quote unquote real world, right? The world where people do crappy things to you. So that's part of his lesson. The 9 is a number that's associated with crime, actually, and betrayal. So I don't know if he's had that in his life, but he does have to be very careful about that. The other thing about this vibration, the 54/9 vibration, is it's important that the inner and the outer self are the same. He has to be true to himself from the inside out. He can't put one facade up and then say something else. And he has to be true. He has to be true to his word. And what he says, he has to sort of back up with action. So that's important for him. And that's a lesson. So he may or may not be good with that. At least not in the beginning of his life. And then the last thing I want to talk about is his shadow. And his shadow vibration is the place where he has been wounded in the past. That past is generally past life, but he also probably has experienced it in this life. And this is it's a 59/5 vibration. This, I think, is Ivanka Trump's shadow as well, I think. And it's about being truthful. This is the card, okay? And so this is somebody who has to be truthful. And it's located here on the Tree of Life in a place called Gabura. So what he says and what he does has to be in alignment. And Gabura is associated with Mars, but it's also located, if we to overlay the chakra system on this Tree of Life, it would be in the throat chakra. And so he's been wounded there. And so he must always speak with kindness. He must, even though he's been wounded, he cannot use his voice to harm. It's about healing. When you have numbers here, very often you're the person who tells people what's wrong and they don't like to hear it. So you have to learn very quickly how to say things in sort of a way that people can hear it. But he's wounded here. So this is a challenge. It's a challenge for him to find his voice in this life and hopefully to heal it. What was the other thing I wanted to say about this vibration? It is the place of instant karma. So if he does say something and do something else, or he'll be found out. If this guy lies, or, you know, he has to be honest. He has to be honest with himself, and he has to be honest with the people that he's talking to. So that is something that you have to watch with. And I'm not saying that he's a liar. I'm just saying it's a wound. So when you have the shadow there, sometimes you're not even aware of the darkness. And so he needs to find the light within. And the other thing about this vibration and this place on the Tree of Life is that Gabura, the throat chakra, is associated with divine will. And to a certain extent, part of the lesson in the throat chakra, Gabura and Hesed, which is on the other side, which is also located in the throat chakra, is that you need to step aside and allow Spirit to speak through you. But he has a lot of connection to Spirit. He has his soul up here in his crown chakra, the quiescent here. This is the 22 vibration, connects the crown with the third eye. He's got his quiescent, his talents and abilities in the third eye. He's very, very intuitive on the feminine side there. He has a shadow in his throat. His throat is connected via his soul to his heart, so he has to always speak from his heart. Especially in relationships, one-to-one relationships. And that's, he has Saturn in Gemini, and Gemini is that ability to communicate and have, Gemini is very much the mirror, so there's that energy there. So that's interesting. Okay, so let's see how much time I have. Don't have a lot of time, because I don't have a lot of time on this, this recording, but I'm going to try to go as fast as I can. So right now, he is on this line. This is his divine triangle. Youth squares age 0 to 27, 27 to 54, 54 to 81. 69 over 6 vibration is up in Kether again. It is the Ace of Pentacles. And so this is his power square. This is one of the reasons why I think he was able to make so much money, because he does have that vibration. The 69 over 6 in Kether, there's a lot of potential. So it's mostly potential. It is Earth. And the Earth in Kether is probably the least powerful, only in that in order to manifest something, you need to bring it sort of all the way down the tree. Okay, so that 69 over 6 is pure potential. And the 6 is about responsibility and community service. So that would be a power for him. Okay. And he's on a 20 over 2 line. The 20 over 2 is the awakened soul. So he's in the process of awakening. And the awakened soul is the judgment card. And I'm trying to pull it out for you. So from age 45 to age 54, he is waking up. His soul is waking up to the truth of who he is. Spirit. Okay. Okay, just a couple of quick other things. In 2017, he announced to run for the Senate. He was in a 9 vibration. He was in a 45-9. That was actually in Gabura. Okay. 9s are, you generally don't win in a 9, but you plant a seed in a 9. And so in that period, he was in a 10-1 vibration. That's a seed planted in the 9. He lost the next. This is where he lost. He was in a 12-3 vibration. That's Neptune, the Hanged Man. So he had to accept his loss, and look at things from a different perspective. Now he has announced he's in an 11 vibration that vibrates to his 11 soul. He will actually be in a 3 vibration. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this? You probably can't see it. Let me lift this up. In 2020, on the election, he'll be in a 39 over 3 vibration. That is the Prince of Cups, the idealistic, young man on a quest, and he will be in a 16-7 vibration at that time, which is the Tower card. So big changes for this guy. He has the capacity to win with this chart, and if not this time, maybe another time. But this guy has a lot of potential if he can stay honest with himself and not try to say what people want him to say, but say what's actually in his heart. I think he's got a good chance. So that's Beto O'Rourke. And Beto vibrates to a 15-6, and Beto O'Rourke